Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. I know it has been a hot minute since I have done one. I have gotten several wonderful messages, from Instagram, emails, from you guys wondering just where I am and what is going on. I'm fine. I'm just super busy, but I totally love that you're looking out for me. So to get into this card, we're using You're a Treat by Neat Tangled, and we're just going to do a super simple striped background. And this is a way to do it if you don't have a stencil. So I'm using 2-inch wide 3M post-it note tape, and I'm using my Fisker's trimmer just to cut it into 1/4-inch strips. And then I'm going to put that down on some Nina white cardstock and create kind of a fun little Halloween background. So it is Halloween. I'm doing this right before I get ready to go take Peanut trick-or-treating. It is the temperature here is not bad. It's probably about 60, but it is raining, and it has been raining pretty much since about 2 p.m. So that is less fun. So back to the card. With all of these in place, I am going to put on some spiced marmalade distress ink. I'm working with old school distress inks, not oxides, because distress inks are brighter, and I wanted the colors to be kind of rich and really saturated. Distress oxides dry chalkier because they have that dye ink, pigment ink property. So once I have this whole thing covered, then I'm going to scooch my masks around. And I was kind of playing with it in the beginning to see where I wanted it to be. Basically, I wanted a very thin orange line, and I wanted a thick black line. So the first one in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see I did it where the white was on the bottom. And then this one I did where the white was on the top. I'll change that one in the bottom right eventually. I just didn't, I'm making this up as I go. You guys know I never make a card twice. So I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it until I was doing it. Funny thing about this card. So I actually made this card for a blog post for Neat and Tangled. That's what I originally made the card for. And so I get done with the card. I think it's super cute. I love the little witch. She is adorable. And I like those smaller sets. I just think that they're super fun, and it's a way to get something new, especially for like a holiday like this one, and incorporate that into the other stamps that you have. In this case, I only used the stamp set, and it was totally enough to carry a card. So this is black soot that we're putting down here. And then you'll see when we remove the masking, we still have that thin little strip of orange. I will caution you, be careful here, because removing those strips, you're going to have inky fingers, and you don't want to get the, black little fingerprints on your white. So you can see when I'm holding it down, I'm holding it on the black part. I'm going to set that aside. I have a smaller piece of Nina that I have trimmed down here to create my little scene. And we're going to be doing some masking, but I'm really only going to be masking just this little cat here because I wanted the cat to be sitting in front of my adorable little witch. And so that does have to get masked. Anyway, back to the making of the card. So I sit down. I love the idea of doing kind of like a free-form background because you don't need any supplies for it. And then this, super cute little scene to be the focal point. I haven't, what do they call it? Oh, because I haven't done it in so long, I don't even remember what it's called. Matted. Like it's called like the frame around a piece of paper is called a mat. I remember when I first started scrapbooking, like you matted and rematted and matted a third time. So you had 3 different colors and varying widths and lengths. And there was just it was just such a thick piece of paper. And I'm stamping an intense black ink from Simon Says Stamp because it's Copic safe, and I'm gonna be doing some Copic coloring. So anyway, you just matted and rematted all of the things. So I haven't put a mat on a card in forever, but this one really kind of needed it. So I go through, I make the little double mat for it, and I think it looks adorable. And I always do like my video editing first, and then while that's saving, I go through and link my product. And so when I went to link this particular product, the You're a Treat, I did switch up my ink for the sentiment because I think the black Simon Says Stamp ink does stamp sentiments better. It's a little bit bolder than the intense black, so I did switch it up there. Now onto the Copic coloring. When I went to go link the product in the Neat and Tangled store, I was like, how Danielle already get my card? Because it's there in the examples, just looking exactly like my card. And I opened it, and great minds think alike. So Miriam, who is another member of the design team, is super talented and totally awesome, made a card that is so similar to this. She didn't have the orange, but she had like the black and white striped background and the little framed, witch and the whole, it was so similar, guys. I was like, yep, and back to the drawing board. But I decided that I was going to go ahead and share it anyway, since I haven't posted a video in so long, just so we could kind of have a quick chat and, maybe this is, there's something that we do here that you missed before or haven't seen before. So I just decided that I was going to go ahead and post it anyway, because honestly, I had already edited it. So, the work was done pretty much. So I'm using for her skin tone, the same, like my go-to, skin tone. And there's really only shading underneath her hat, kind of a little bit around her face because of her hair. And then, underneath her, like where her dress hangs over her legs and her arms are tucked behind her back. The E50 family is going to be my friend for her hair. I had a lot of black going on in here. Her little outfit is black. My little cat is black. My spider is black. So I wanted to kind of break that up a little bit. So I opted to make her hair a lighter brown. Just again, to kind of, break up that color. Just so much black. There was just black everywhere. Yeah. So Miriam and I basically made the same card, which, it is what it is. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you'll see, and it's just coincidence. You know what I mean? Where you see somebody who has a card that's similar to yours, or maybe you see two cards by two different designers that are super similar. This doesn't for me, it doesn't happen often. The last time I can think of it happening is, Simon Says Stamp had a release, and, what was it? I think it was pandas. It was like pandas with balloons or something. Anyway, Simon is extremely generous and would send me multiple products for each release, and I would kind of pick the ones that really spoke to me. And then after that, we had a girlfriend's retreat, which is where we were when the blog hop went live. And I was going through the blog hop, and Laura Basson and I had very similar cards, who she happened to be 2 seats down from me. And so we were giggling about how similar our cards looked, considering we were hundreds of miles away from each other. And she's also another one, obvious. If you are, have been in card making for a minute, I'm sure you know who Laura is. Her blog is Double Stick Heaven, and she is also amazing. I would encourage you to check her out. For the Copic coloring, as far as shadows are concerned, for my little girl, I did pretty much just a center highlight. So I'm going to be adding all of my darkness on the outer edges, and then just doing what I normally do, starting with the lightest out to the darkest. I'm not doing too much flicking here, just because it's really not necessary. And her outfit, even though we're starting with the grays, will look black by the end of it. So what have I been up to? Pretty much like there's been work, like my real full-time job work, and then there's been work for my part-time job work, and then there's been card work, which hasn't put me in front of the camera, but has put me in other places that were super fun. So we did this fundraiser. I was telling you guys about that. We did this fundraiser for youth group, and pretty much for just like a week and a half straight, my life was just wild, trying to get the stuff together for this fundraiser, trying to make sure that we had all of the donations. We did a basket raffle as well as a 50-50 raffle. So we were trying to sell these tickets to get some money for these kids. We were going, to businesses to pick up baskets. So just kind of running around totally haphazardly, not to mention decorating the space, which my partner for youth group is one of the patrolmen. And so, I mean, I don't know about at your house. If you are a man who does plan parties, I totally respect you, but typically it is the woman of the household who is party planning. And since it was a fundraiser, which is pretty much just one gigantic party, a lot of that fell to me as far as like decorations were concerned. So I was getting all of those things, plus I was doing face painting at the fundraiser. One quick note here. So I told you for her, I did a center highlight. For the kitty cat, I decided to do a shadow on the right-hand side. Now, if you watch my channel normally, you know this is abnormal for me. And I'm going to be honest, it felt pretty weird to color that way. However, I needed to leave a lighter edge on the left-hand side of that cat's face so that it didn't blend into her dress. Since they're both the same color, I needed something to differentiate between the two. And so that lighter edge, that highlight there, is going to do that for me. So anyway, I was face painting, and so it was a Halloween party, so we also dressed up. So I had to hunt down my princess dress from last year. Tonight I'm going as Cleopatra. We'll see how that goes. Interesting thing about Cleopatra that I learned. When I was looking up, because I was looking up like makeup and you know how she dressed and things like that, trying to plan my costume. Apparently it is most commonly thought that Cleopatra was Egyptian, and consequently she would have dark hair and dark eyes. And Cleopatra was actually Greek, and so she was light-skinned, light eyes, blonde hair, which is baffling to me. And I'm not going to go with my blonde hair. I have a wig. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably see photos. I'll try to share one on the blog. Like I'll update the blog with a photo. So those of you who don't have Instagram or aren't interested in Instagram, you can see pictures of Peanut being the mummy and me as Cleopatra. But anyway, I'm not going to go as a blonde Cleopatra because nobody would understand that, because pretty much everybody thinks that she's got black hair. Who played her? Was it Elizabeth Taylor? I think it was Elizabeth Taylor who played Cleopatra, and obviously she is, beautiful, black hair. So anyway, I digress. From the fundraiser, which was crazy wild, I had a little bit of a breather, just like 1 hot minute of a breather, and which I was teaching at the college. And then I taught, I had 2 days of working, 16 hours. So I worked my full-time job, and then I went and taught part-time, and then I went out of town. And I went out of town, some of you know because I got to see you, to teach a card class in Delaware for Neat and Tangled. And so I got to hang out with Danielle, and Heidi and Lauren from Simon Says Stamp came out, and I got to meet some other, of you who it was amazing, and it was such a loving trip, and I really, really hope that I will be able to do that some more. I would really like to be able to do that. And a lot of people made comments like, come to Montana to teach, come to California, come to Washington. That's a lot of travel, but I'm not opposed to doing it. Just with my schedule, it would have to be very precisely planned. So if you have a local craft store that you think would like to host a class, please leave their information in the comments, because I would be interested in doing it. I like people and I love you guys. And so it was very nice to be able to, put faces with names. And some people I was like, you got to tell me what your username is, because I don't know you by, your real first name. So I kind of felt like she was just floating here out in mid-air, and so I decided to put a little bit of grass, that neon green color over the years has become associated with Halloween. So it's like you have orange and black, and then somewhere along the way we added in purple and this neon green, which I love because it kind of breaks up that very traditional orange and black, gives you a couple more options. So I went with that. I did keep it a little bit lighter, because I wanted her and her little pet kitty cat to be the focal point. You also saw me add a little bit of a shadow to the spider web, and then I colored my spider with my gray markers, but then I went over it with the VO4 to give it like a little bit of a purple hue, just to switch up the color a tiny bit. I don't actually, even with all the spiders that I have in my house, I haven't actually seen one that looked purple. They're all pretty much just black or brown. Yeah, which speaking of, I have not had, oh, I'm going to jinx myself. I need to knock on wood. I really have not seen too many, so maybe we are coming to some sort of agreement, me and the spiders, where they stay outside and I live inside. That would be fantastic. I wanted to fill in a little bit of color into the background, and so I picked a very, very light B. This is a quadruple zero, to just kind of go around my images and help them kind of stand out from the background. I also brought it up a little bit from the grass and down where the sentiment is. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the coloring on there. Here I've already matted it on black, and then I forgot that I didn't outline it. And I was like, why does this look weird? Well, it looks weird because I outline everything and I hadn't outlined it yet. So I went ahead and did that. And then once the outlining was done, I went straight for that trusty white gel pen because I love to add details, especially on something this simple. So I gave them their eyeballs back with the white pen, and then I also added some polka dots to the inside of her cape, and I think I did her hat band too, so that those were kind of matchy-matchy. So this was already matted on black, and I'm having issues with my glue, as you can see here. Finally figured it out. And I'm going to pop this up using some white fun foam, just to give it a little bit more dimension. Because this card is so simple, I felt like it needed some things to add interest to it. And then I almost never run out of glue. I mean, like, these bottles last me forever. And so I did finally have to open a new one. And then I matted that on just a very thin piece of, a very thin border of orange. And then I'm going to adhere that to the card. So I double matted it. Aren't you proud of me? It's like I'm in high school again when I was scrapbooking. So just put that right down there in the center, kept it super simple and easy. And then I'm going to add some shimmer to her outfit because if I was a witch, I would want to be a glittery one. Just saying. So then that's, oh, I did add glitter to the background too, just the orange stripes. And then that's pretty much the entire card. So if you are taking your littles trick-or-treating, be safe out there, stay warm. If you're just staying in and passing out candy, have fun because all the littles are so cute in their little costumes. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I promise to be back more frequently in the upcoming weeks. Bye.